Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise. It is this lovely Friday morning. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
And a wonderful morning to you out there. I'm Kayla Magwa.
Well, clearly we all got the memo this morning. It's a blues day. Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makide.
No. Oh, okay.
I have blue here.
I thought I was colorblind. Okay. Well, nobody has charged me, so I'm not guilty of anything yet. Okay. So I have a question. Well, okay, sorry. I think it's morning brew that is getting my head.
Ayo, if you know what Chamberlain has been doing here since. He has been singing, I have a question.
I know.
I
think morning brew guys must be dancing by now, so it's allowed. But have a look at this. This is where that stems from. So, as if they knew what we're going to think about. So, yes, we've got a question for you. Have a look at this image. Yeah, we did ask you the last time, but let's have you try for this one. Oh, I think it might have been given away, but you never know. Tell us now. Tell us. If you think that you're in-house and you want to try yourself, well, where is this place now? So lots of people go for hiking. They do different things in different places. So I know, I think I can even almost get this place myself. But yeah. Well, yeah, guys, go ahead. Well, like you out there, to tell us where this place is now. Don't forget, there are several places in this country that look exactly like this.
I don't know what. I'm not even going to try. My head is going to pain me. I don't know where this is.
Well,
I can't even tell. Any idea?
It's not a surprise that you don't know Kayla because you're an Abuja babe. Okay,
I'm so sorry.
But really, I mean,
don't be surprised if this is one corner and somewhere in Abuja.
Well,
close to
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Could it actually be somewhere around the Zuma Rock? You never can tell, right? And it could be somewhere in Kaduna, or maybe somewhere in Akwa Ibom. I don't know, but so exactly where this place? Where is this place? Where is this place?
Zinc roofs.
That's the question Chamberlain has asked. So give me the answer.
Yeah. So you know what we'll do this time? We're going to look for the first few people that will get it right. So look at our social media handles. Just go ahead there and send us, just tweet, Instagram, email, wherever you think it is. Let's see the fastest fingers to get the job done or to get it right. You know what they say, it's not the first person that goes to the police station that wins the case. So it's a similar narrative, but not necessarily the first people that send the place may get it. But if you're lucky to get the answer, we've got a surprise for you. So, which will eventually get across.
How are they giving us the answers?
Okay, so here's the thing. Look at our email handles, guys. Can we have that up? So let's take a look at the emails, the Twitter, the Instagram. We'll have all of those handles that exist for Sunrise Daily. So get across to us through any of those social media handles, and then we will be, we'll take it off from there and see what happens. Can you see the Instagram? I can't see. Can anybody see that? Okay, so
I think it's the email I'm looking at right now. sunrisedaily@channelstv.com.
But the handle, that guys. So we'll have an Instagram handle.
Yeah.
We'll have a Twitter account, the email. So go ahead and send it to us through all those platforms, and so we'll be glad to hear from you as the program. So before the program ends, we'll of course reveal where the place is and those who got it right, and then those who will say, hey, thanks for trying. Nothing wrong in trying. Okay, so while we get across the handles to you, I'm wondering why that is not up. So we will listen to this. The president of Trade Union Congress is calling out now saying, look, something needs to be done about this electricity tariff hike. It's not enough that they just announced the bands A, B, C, D, or E, whatever it is. But he wants a lot more to be done. Here's what he said at the time.
Electricity tariffs are being increased, where some people are still using meters that are not prepaid. where you still do a lot of calculations to arrive at what someone would pay. We have customers in millions who does not have prepaid meters. They still live with estimated billings. Part of the demand is that there should be mass metering. Every single house in Nigeria should have a prepaid meter. But then you will pay for only what you consume, and the estimated billing will become a thing of the past. And there must be stakeholder engagement. Whenever it's been muted that tariff of electricity is about to be increased, there must be that engagement, because it is through that engagement and social dialogue that all the cards will be laid bare and put on the table. Then the next section also discuss the issues of minimum wage, and that government have to do everything possible to ensure that this is fast-tracked, because the only way you can reinflate your economy is when you empower the working class.
So there you go. I know several people still thinking something needs to be done differently, but you thought TEC should have done this a lot earlier. But I don't know if it's better late than never. I just wonder, is it possible they go about this again? They go over this again or rescind this? I don't know if the horse has since bolted from the stable. Who knows what happens next?
I mean, the thing is, with this matter, part of what the TEC is really, looking at is the fact that there had to be stakeholder engagement.
Yeah.
You basically took a decision and didn't think about the fact that there's so many people involved in a matter as crucial and dire as this one. So the stakeholder engagement is what they're asking for. They're also saying that this estimated billing is still happening.
Yeah.
How do you check what bands those people belong to? We're still trying to meter a lot of Nigerians. So basically for the TUC, there are still many loose ends that need to be tied up before you can make a decision like this. And I think it's a conversation that many Nigerians, probably buy into, consider. Although it has to be said, Chamberlain, that because electricity is expensive. We know this. Around the world, it's very expensive. But the indices, and this is what we always talk about when we look at Nigeria, the indices here are different from the indices around the world.
Yeah.
So if we're going to make rules or we're going to do something that is supposed to be for the Nigerian people, we have to take into cognizance the Nigerian experience in making those decisions. And I think that's what this is about.
And of equal importance is, what is the federal government, what are they doing to ensure that we get this uninterrupted power supply across board? This is band A, B, C, D, or E. It's an amorphous, whatever it is, but everyone should have uninterrupted power supply.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason for us not to. Ayo.
Let me just hope there's something you said, Chamberlain, that I think is also important. Has the horse left the stable on this issue or not? That's another thing altogether, because some people will be wondering whether or not this is not just some kind of grandstanding to get some kind of attention. Whether that is it or not, I guess the next few days will tell. But how did we get here? We got here by not paying attention to details. And the issues we're having in the electricity sector, Chamberlain, Kayla, it's not something that started in the Fourth Republic. It didn't start 20-something years ago. ECN, Electricity Company of Nigeria, is what we started with in this country. And it has evolved into whatever else over the years. Why? Because we always had issues in the power sector that were never really holistically addressed. The law that set up the current experience we're having in 2005 has been criticized by everyone, including those in government, even at the highest level, as high as the ministers, as high as the president of the Senate at some point. Are we addressing those issues? Are we asking those questions? Are we just, as Chamberlain, as you would say, papering over cracks? Do we need to pull down the house and start all over again? Now we hear that the minister is he already made a pronouncement about 11 discos. So is that going to solve the problem permanently? Is privatization helping? We hear that the power sector is a critical national asset. And then why don't we have power when we should? What are the implications of this on the economy and so many other indices in the country? So yes, Kayla, I'm with you about the Nigerian experience, but at the same time, the cost is not just going to go away without us doing something holistic about it. Labor or no labor.
Right. That's it, guys. Let's go ahead and take you through some of the dailies. All right, let's go ahead and take you through some of the dailies this Friday morning. And we'll begin with New Telegraph. As fuel scarcity bites harder, TUC blames PMS shortage on FG's delay in activating Port Harcourt refinery operations. Look at the riders. Asks minimum wage committee to fast-track activities. Scarcity caused by logistics issues resolved. NNPCL. Signs packed for 100,000 barrels per day capacity facility inside PH refinery. We do no questions about this Port Harcourt refinery. To be or not to be. Many are already saying if it were to have kicked off, why is it not going on now? Anyways, we'll come to that as we progress here this morning on the program. But about this fuel scarcity challenge, Leadership Friday also has some story on that one. 11 months after subsidy removal, Nigerians still face fuel scarcity, long queues. The rider PMS sells for 690 naira, 730 naira, 800 naira, 820 naira, 900 naira in major cities. NNPC blames logistics issues, cautions against panic buying. What do you expect? If there's a shortage, you know these kind of things will happen, and you just wonder how many decades in the history of this country we're still grappling with this sort of challenge in spite of all the increases. Well, juries are there in terms of the impact on how to proceed moving forward. And then to Business Day, telcos renew push for first tariff hike in 11 years after rare losses. Well, look at Daily Independent, they drilled in a little deeper. Telcos fear revenue loss as Starlink targets data market share. Push for upward tariff review says economic challenges affecting investors' confidence. So, well, that's the thing you get here. So many questions as to what are they doing, or what are the authorities doing to protect local businesses? That question will always be there. And then this bit, NNPC explains fuel scarcity as it bites harder in Abuja and Kaduna. So that much for the front page of Daily Independence here this morning. And then a little bit of politics this morning. Nigerian News Direct, Vox Populi 2023 election results reflect will of the people. US report. So, the report they talk about certain, suppression of Igbo voters in some parts of Lagos. And then, well, this is the perspective of Nigerian News Direct of that report. So you might as well just go ahead and read that one there. Well, not just that one. Nigerian Tribune, Damagun's loyalty to Wike's sinking PDP, Clark alleges. The Daily Times, resign. Don't allow PDP to collapse on the U, Clark tells Damagun. So that much with some politics playing out on the front pages this morning as well. But this Nigeria, they have a different perspective of scenarios. Jailbreak, 106 inmates still at large, 13 recaptured. FG considers relocating Suleja Correctional Facility. So, okay, and then the Guardian newspaper, complicit negligence, how weak power lines, vandalism, worsen electrocution incidents. So there's a breakdown that they got for you on the front page here this morning, which you might as well see. Licensees with the highest number of casualties in the third quarter of 2023. They list all of them here this morning from Eco Disco, EDC, IBEDC, and it goes on and on. So I'll just have a closer look so that probably you could just make sense of that particular story this morning on the front page. Have a look at Daily Trust. Bandits attack Zurmi Emir's palace, kill 3, destroy GSM mast, ex-Nasarawa administrator's house also hit. So you see, they target communication facilities to isolate you so that you cannot call for help. Such scenario. And then the Nigerian Observer. 32 million Nigerians to benefit as FG unveils 16 trillion naira consumer credit market. So how does that affect you? That is the front page of the Observer, which is a look at some of the dailies here today, guys. Okay, so taking us through some of those dailies now, guys. I mean, I don't know who will not be affected by this premium motor spirit shortage. New Telegraph highlights it, how TUC blaming PMS shortage on FG's delay in activating Port Harcourt refinery. That's the big lead on the front page of New Telegraph here today. So again, back to this conversation about this Port Harcourt refinery. Even though they are saying that they are signing packs for 100,000 barrels per day capacity facility inside the PH refinery, but there are several questions as to what they say had happened before with that Port Harcourt refinery, because several persons did tell us at the time that, look, what the timeline that they had given for the takeoff of the Port Harcourt refinery at that time, they just categorically pointed out that, look, as far as they are concerned, it was not going to happen. And have they been proven right now or what? Because at the time where they were talking about mechanical capacity, they said none of those things was going to go on. It wasn't going to happen. So what is the information that they do have now about the quote-unquote Port Harcourt refinery? Is it on or not? Because everybody can clearly see, because at the time, the expectation was December, that it was going to go before Dangote refinery. But now we know which one is working and which one is not. And just as leadership.
Oh yeah, the leadership. I was listening to you talk about that Port Harcourt refinery, because the leadership takes it from a different angle, and they're looking at the fact that it's been 11 months.
Yeah.
11 months after subsidy removal in the fuel subsidy removal, and Nigerians still face fuel scarcity and long queues. Want to read more on that? Get to page 4 of the leadership this Friday. PMS selling for 690, 730, 800 naira, 820 naira, 900 naira in major cities. And the NNPC, according to this headline, is blaming logistics issues, cautioning against panic buying. And they have a very interesting picture in the front of the paper there. Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, and Owerri. The queues are back.
So what is going on? It doesn't mean that no matter what we do, we'll always be faced with these kind of challenges. And why? Why do we always do this to ourselves in this country?
This sector needs to be explained. It needs to be explained to the night. We don't understand this. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand. Because with the removal of fuel subsidy, we feel, okay, well, at least there'll be fuel.
Even if you pay 2,000
yes.
diesel.
Now, even if I'm paying,
liter,
at least there'll be fuel for me to use. All I have to do is pay for it.
The same thing they told us. They said we did a survey, and Nigerians, that's NERC, and Nigerians said they will pay for power supply when they have it. Mm-hmm. And then they said based on that, they went ahead and developed bands A, B, C, D, and E. And then after all said and done, are we getting the so-called bands A, B, C, D, and E now? Are they getting anything now? But the increased tariff time and again, they always talk about what? Appropriate
billing.
Is it tariff or whatever it is? They can't remember the name now. All sorts of things go on. It just appears as though they won't do the right things. People are still getting charged via the estimated billing platform, even on the so-called band A.
With fuel, I don't understand. We need an explanation. Although they say if you want to read more, NNPC has the explanation on page 4, logistics issues. And they say we shouldn't panic buy. Let's not.
What do you expect? People don't have petrol, and you know that if they don't have petrol, chances are that will happen. Even when, look, I don't want to have a headache.
More Nefra.
It's Friday morning.
It's Friday, please. Ayo, what's happening over there?
Well, It's all about raw materials, so to speak, and I beg your pardon, mineral deposits, and that's one of the things that interests me in the conversation this morning. Remember, we all know that the president, went to Europe and he was talking about the fact that in Nigeria we have a very high and deposit. That's actually on the front page of this Nigeria newspaper this morning, right? By the nameplate, it talks about Nigeria having quite some resources in terms of lithium that can power the whole of Europe. And I think it is something that is commendable. The question that you want to ask is, exactly how are we taking advantage of these opportunities that we have? Look at it right beside the nameplate, this Nigerian newspaper. Nigeria's lithium to power Europe's clean energy needs. That's according to the president. And he said, and I quote, taking a holistic view of the world order, there is a tremendous opportunity between us across trade spheres, but especially in solid minerals, where we have high-grade lithium deposits that we know can power the clean energy future of the world. There is an excellent value additive opportunity in Nigeria. The world knows us for oil. They will soon know us for our greater innovative exploits in other areas. And if you follow that news, if you followed the news over time, you would remember that sometime earlier in this year, the EFCC took on some people in quite a number of states all across the country, especially those who are illegally mining these resources. It goes back to the conversation, Chamberlain and Kayla, that we've often had on this program. Look, let that collaboration between the federal government and the state governments work. Let it be more efficient, let it be more solid, so that the state authorities can also help the federal government to supervise these things. Let there be a win-win for both the states and the federal, particularly in the states that have these mineral resources. There are at least 5 states in Nigeria that have high deposits of lithium, at least 5 states. So just imagine that we have this collaboration with the states. They will be themselves the ones that are protecting these things and making sure that they are not taken undue advantage by some people. Maybe I'm just, hypothesizing here. As a friend of ours would say, Chamberlain, what do I know? I'm just a presenter. But, it's something that is quite important that we all need to give some significant attention to. And so that's business. Lithium, oh gosh. For those who don't know, every dry cell battery in the world, one way or the other, is powered by one kind of lithium or the other. And I just imagine the opportunities that will come to us as a nation if we were to give all the attention that we can to that, in good enough time. It's something that we need to give attention to, then we have to give attention to it. EFCC in the month of February this year arrested about 41 suspects and impounded 12 trucks containing different types of solid minerals, including lithium, in February this year. Now imagine that the authorities in each of these states have what it takes to do this covering. I think it is something that we can give attention to, at the right time. It's important that we give attention to it. And that's just one of the stories. Another one that has caught attention that everyone is talking about is on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And look at the front page of the Guardian newspaper, guys. I mean, it's also very, very interesting. Always with those data. How weak power lines, vandalism, worsen electrocution incidents. It is... I don't even know what to make of it. So anyway, those are the issues, and I think we should give ourselves, credence for all of these things. So, well, that's so much of the papers we can take this morning. Now, let's take a short break and we'll be right back with the topic.
All right, welcome back. We've got Dr. Olukayode Ajulo, OON. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, an attorney general and commissioner for justice for Ondo State. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Oh, good morning.
Yeah, I mean, been a while. So I imagine that you've been keeping well. But focusing on the judiciary, we know how important that aspect of our society is, the arm of government, because yes, this summit that the AGF and lawyers, senior lawyers are attending, trying to find a way to ensure justice delivery is a lot better, improve the confidence that Nigerians have with the judiciary, such that even when elections come and go, we know that we can beat our chest that we trust the judiciary to do the right things. Because people have different impressions of the judiciary. So if you could just give us perhaps like a summary of sorts in terms of the mindset of those who are attending that conference. What are they thinking of doing to change the narratives of the judiciary in the country at the moment?
Well, thank you very much. You mentioned the issue of narratives, particularly the way the justice in Nigeria is being perceived. First, I think it is right to say that virtually all over the world, everybody will seem to have some perspective of how justice should be. But this has been a great concern to Nigerians, particularly the stakeholders. And if you remember last year, the Nigerian Bar Association have such a summit, but it is more or less a Nigerian Bar Association driven summit. But this year, the one that was just recently concluded, it is more like a holistic one, where, like I told someone, I say it's even as if we're having a national conference, but now on judiciary. Because it is awesome, and I believe if I have the time, it's just for us to commend and to salute those that put this together. From the Minister of Justice, that Prince Lateef Fagbemi, the PAM Secretary, even the President, the Senate President, the CJ, and all those civil societies, and virtually even including the Chief Judge of each state. You can see virtually who is who when it comes to stakeholding in judiciary. Everybody seems to be there. And I want to say, this will be the first time we'll be having that. And that should show how important. Even you'll be shocked to see that the Chief of Defense Staff was even there. And you'll find that everyone, like I told someone else, it's like we're having a national Independence Day, where, because that's when you see virtually everybody coming together. And this is like a all year for judiciary and for justice. And I think we need to commend the initiative, the idea. And basically, it is not only to change the narratives, it is to ensure that justice is done the way it should be. And the meeting, and particularly, let me use the summit, even went through virtually everything that's been said. Are we going to talk about delivery, access to justice, human rights? We're talking about the gender, most of all those vulnerables, and even coming to the remuneration of justice, the justices, virtually all. And that is the essence itself, is to ensure that when it comes to justice, because what many people do not know is this: justice shapes the society, even economically wise. Many people wanted to come to Nigeria to bring their funding, but when they realize that, those people, they don't appreciate, or they don't respect their law, they don't respect the justice delivery system is zero, they will take a U-turn and look for somewhere. I know of a fact that many people, particularly when we talk of arbitration, many people will tell you, don't ever include Nigeria in where we should determine this agreement we're having, because they know that it will be delayed. When you have a contract that maybe just for 5 years, the litigation alone will take about 10 years. Why should I put my money there? So it is something that went far, and I think the only thing I can say is just to salute first, because the initiative is so grand. Virtually all the attorney generals in the country were there. All the chief judge of each state were there. Everyone there to discuss. And at the end of the day, the idea and the initiative and the drive, the attitude is that we must reform our justice system.
Now I know that this is not this perspective or questions, because we have a lot of summits for different sectors, and the challenge has always been moving it to the next step. So for this one, I know it's early days yet because some other things will come up later today about this same matter.
Yeah.
What indications do you get? For instance, when people say, how do we know that at the end of the day, because the challenge for that judiciary is huge.
Yeah.
Some parts of it, you need to change the laws. National Assembly will come in.
Yeah, sure.
Some you need to have executive sign off on it. Some you need to ensure the way they are appointed also is addressed.
Okay.
What indication do you see for this summit to tell you that at the end of the day, there will be huge impact?
No, let's start with the fact that not only that we have the JOJO, like the Nigerian parlance where everybody will discuss, because Nigeria, we seem to have solution to all the problem. If you can bring any problem on the table, people will we ventilate it, we interrogate them, say, oh, this is what it is. But unlike every other summit that have been, apart from discussing the problem, there has been a lay down where participants discuss how to resolve that problem. Not only that, the step to be taken, like for example, when we talk of issue of access to justice, to fast track justice delivery system, we identified our laws, particularly the Constitution. There are some let me use the word egalitarian reform, that there will be need to alter some of the provision of the Constitution. And all that, almost, I can, from my thinking, almost 12 provision that needs. Are we going to talk of the numbers of judges that should be in High Court or Federal High Court? Before they will tell you before, not up to 100, now it's more than 100. You know what I'm trying to say? Are we going to talk about the issue of the appointment of judges, the composition of the NJC, because that's the overall health of the Nigerian judicial system? You will find that even when it comes to access to justice, how cases can go to Supreme Court, High Court, all those ones, because most of the things that have been stifling this is that sometimes you may have intention, but no matter how great your intention, you must still go with the law. And if the law should say this is the way and manner you can bring matter to court, and you believe that you must go the other way, the only way to fast track is to first tinker with the provision of the Constitution. All those ones were there. You can see it was well presented, that I want to believe that in the next few weeks, months, there will be, as God will have it, the National Assembly is thinking of amending the Constitution. I'm sure most of those resolutions, most of those, what we agree, will be sent to them, and I'm very sure this will be clear. And apart from that, there are many, for example, we're talking about magistrate. Let me use one word. Magistrate, up to now, they are not, by the Constitution, they are not being viewed as a judicial officer. But with this discussion, I saw a proposal where the law, that's our Constitution, must include them, because most of the majority of cases have even been dispensed in all such level. Now, you can see, and amendment of judges, their numbers will be increased, and before you increase any their numbers, you must tinker, alter the Constitution. All those were there. These are the things that, for example, we're talking of fundamental human right. There are many cases, many proposals to strengthen Legal Aid Council of Nigeria. There are many proposals to even talk of funding. There are some funds that ought to be made available for some victims. All those who were there. It is look. If one should continue to discuss this, I think you need to have a clear day where this should be
like
discussed.
a more robust conversation.
Yes,
on this.
certainly.
I mean, journalists right now at the Ministry of Justice, because that communique is coming out. The communique from the summit, it came out at they said 9 a.m. That was the time they said they were going to bring it out.
Yeah.
Now, we had Mr. Wahab Shitu, SAN, on the program yesterday, and he mentioned something that I noticed that you haven't talked about. With all of the reforms, no matter how many reforms we do, the major issue of interference, that major issue of interference needs to be addressed. And even though he didn't want to name names or go really into details about it, but we do understand what he means by that, where we have a situation where cases are constantly being interfered with by people from other arms or the political class. So these are some of the issues. How will this summit address an issue like that? Okay,
now let me start. When it comes to interference with judicial process, first, one thing you have to know, it has to do with the individual that sit on that seat, individual and the institution. First, institution has to be strengthened, and that is one of the things that was discussed. Like, let me give you an example out of the numerous one. Like the state Judicial Service Commission, the composition of State Judicial Service Commission, you find out that most, apart from the statutory personnel that will constitute the body, every other person have been appointed by the governor. We seem to have that. Governors seem to have so much force, particularly when you have about 4 or 5 or 6 of your appointee are sitting in a place where about 6 or 7 are. In that part of the resolution, which I pray will be implemented, is there will be a way to do that. And apart from that, when it comes to appointment of judicial officer, you can see in the implementation, there are many ways. Now, the issue of return should not be quantitative, it must be qualitative. Then the character, the integrity is if there is more premium on that character integrity. Look, no matter how, there are some people that they can do anything, they can even mop floor. You don't even need to for any executive interference before they will start doing that. There are some judges that you know that no judge, no executive, they are near them. We know them. And we know some that they are not, the executive don't even need them, but they will go to koto to any executive. So what matters most is the appointment. Who are you putting on that seat to work? So when it comes to executive interferences, the issue here is who and how did they get to that seat? And Nigeria is not bereft of great people with solid character, with good ethical concept and to make things work. I know of a judge that you dare even come to his office, to his court, even as a government official, to mention your case or you ask for adjournment, they will tell you no way. And I know of some that will even be looking for, did you want adjournment, try to patronize you. So what matters most, first, is what this submitter addresses, particularly when it comes to the appointment, who to be on that seat.
In the states.
In the state, even in federal.
In the states.
In the federal. Like, for example,
in the states. Yeah. Because what was discussed yesterday was that issue that happened in Kogi State.
Yes.
And he was talking about how mistakes can happen, some judges can make mistakes, but then again, there could be interference. In the states, that the independence of the judiciary at the state level, both from interference from the state executive and financial independence. Yeah. Are those things being addressed in this?
Yeah, it's been addressed. Like, for example, I just mentioned, when I mentioned Judicial Service Commission, you know that the state, that the federal is what they have is NJC. At the state, we talked about that because, you have to first check the body that oversees this thing. Once the body is cracked, nothing can really work. And that's one thing. And apart from that, and let us be sincere, everybody always thinks about not only about the state, what about the federation? Like, part of the recommendation is to look for a way how to look at the composition of NJC and to look at how the Chief Justice of Nigeria should these roles in Federal Judicial Council will be a bit relaxed in such a way that at both the two bodies, it will be the chairman of this and chairmans of that. There are many recommendations. Even there's one recommendation that even asks that the chairmanship of that APES judicial system should be rotated between those from the NBA, from the executive, and from the other group. It is so many, so lofty as it is now. And one thing I think I need to do, that the judiciary, that judicial system has done this, the NBA has done it, everybody has done it. The next is now what we should focus on our legislature, because all this recommendation, most of it, you will need law to back it up. You need law to be amended, and as it is. But with what I've seen, with the recommendation, if it is fully or substantially implemented, we're in for good when it comes to judicial system in Nigeria.
What would you consider as low-hanging fruits that can be done, because some of these things take time, that such that when they adopt those ones, at least you could see some traction?
No, I think one of the first things is that, you know my interest mostly when it comes to human rights. Low-hanging fruit, like today, there should be access to justice. That one, sometimes we don't even need to change any law or any constitution. Yeah. That needs to be done. For example, the way and manner, the system, the matter, the way it should be dispensed with in time, because many people are getting complacent, particularly when it's seen that I'm filing a case today, and you say, oh, I know someone that said, I filed this case yesterday, and I'm very sure it will be my grandchild that will get the fruit of the labor. You know what I'm trying to say? Those are the 15 that can be done. If justice can be fast-tracked, if there's access to justice, like there's one lofty recommendation that we're talking of funding. There's supposed to be some fund for when it comes to human rights, so that others can be able to access justice. Like, I need to digress a little. Part of low-hanging fruit is what we are doing in Ondo State. If you remember recently, we talked about having 273 aides. Many people may not understand it. The essence of it is that how many lawyers will be able to monitor most of all these police stations. This is where we have a violation of human rights. And if you can see some people voluntarily, without collecting any state money, to give the guarantee that they will look for a way, there will be effective monitoring of how the detainees are being treated, what is happening at police station, because there are some police stations that in this country that maybe no lawyers have ever gone there to even give any advice. So these are the things that I believe will be a low-hanging fruit. And I must commend Nigerian lawyers, because most of them, they are more focused on people-oriented justice than cash and carry justice. Many people are ready to stand for people without even asking for a dime to ensure that things is done. And when we can do this, we're in for good.
All right, we'll continue this in just a moment, but just give us a moment, we'll be back.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Well, Mr. Ajulo, one of the issues that I perceive that a number of people have had to handle is the issue of ignorance. People don't know certain provisions of the law. And it would seem like sometimes people are set up, so to speak, by the fact that these laws exist. They don't even know that the laws exist. But they are always, of course, we've heard that several times, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So is there any way that this justice reform, project that is ongoing now can address that fact, the fact that people are not even aware of the laws, whether they are federal laws or state laws, and in a way that they don't get caught in it one way or the other?
Well, thank you very much. When it comes to issue of ignorance, the law itself is expected to be known to all. By the fact, efficacy of the law is for you to know. So that is why you find out that the ignorance of the law is not an excuse. But whereas one of the fundamentals of the discussion in this summit is about access to justice. Access to justice starts with knowing what the law says, knowing what to do and what you should not do. And that is why you find out that part of what the summit discussed about is there's a lot of partners. If you remember, some minutes ago I mentioned Legal Aid Council of Nigeria, that's LACON. I mentioned about Human Rights Commission, National Human Rights Commission, and most of all those people, their duty basically is not only to safeguard you, but to let you know what your law is. And again, I think it must be the duty of Nigerian populace to have respect for the law. When you have respect for the law, it will be quite innate to you to know what the law is saying. But unfortunately, we are in a country where most of us don't have respect for the law. The only respect we have is for our whims and caprice of what interests us, what helps us. And that is why we have all this issue. The day we believe that the first things to be done for you to know, after knowing that I'm a human being living in Nigeria, the next thing that should be things for me is law. I know of many people that can quote the Bible or Quran from the beginning to the end, but to ask them, tell me what the chapter 1 of the Constitution says, they say, what is my problem with that? But whereas that is what defines your existence as human being. So this summit has discussed that. That's why I must tell you that one of the main thing that this summit pay premium on is access to justice. Access to justice is the same thing as access to law, in knowing what the law is saying, in knowing what it is. And like I mentioned, people seem to have disregard for law, and when you have disregard for law, you don't even know what the law is saying.
Mr. Ajulo,
so that one should not be an excuse.
My apologies, but sometimes it would seem like the laws were set up in a way that people won't even have access to it. Let me give you the example of a law in Lagos. I don't know what the title of that law is, that it's about tenancy. It's about, people renting houses in the state. I think it's called tenancy law, something like that, that people shouldn't actually pay any more than maybe 6 months or so, and all of that. But there are still environments in the same city of Lagos where, even the landlords will say that it's not the government that built the house for them. And consequently, they still go on the way they always did, asking for 1 year rent, 6 months rent, even 2 year rents in some cases. But many people, of course, are not aware of this law. Those who are aware of it find it difficult enforcing it. They can't even compel it because they may not even get access to the house in the first place. How does this justice reform program, for instance, address that kind of need? And that's just one example in 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Now, let me address this by saying that the scenario you painted, it is not about ignorance of the law. It is a deliberate attempt to stifle the law and now claim ignorance of what is happening. Like I mentioned earlier, knowing law starts with your total regard for law. Now, another thing Nigerians seem to understand is that this law, they are the one that made this law. Though they may say that I wasn't there. But don't forget that you cast your vote for someone. And the vote you are casting, that's why many people, they are only interested in the naira, the kobo they will collect before casting the vote. And after casting the vote, you never even bother to know who is representing you. Forgetting that any law in this country the coming of that law is because some people who you and I put there to do it. And it's their duty to report back, but Nigeria will never ask them, what are you doing, only for them to say, give me 2 naira, give me 3 naira, what is the palliative? It's only in Nigeria you see that lawmakers will be doling out some palliative instead for them to do quantity and quantitative law that will be for the good of all people. With that alone, you know that nobody should even complain about being ignorant of the law, because after all, who is making this law? Your representative.
Well,
that
Mr.
representatives come from you.
Yeah. We both know that there isn't I don't know if there is, but I doubt if there is a budget for publicizing laws that are made. And so perhaps that's one of the ways.
Budget. Let me quickly put you.
Okay.
Let me put it very well. Let me put it that there is budget and there is procedure. I'm sure you must be hearing about Gazette. A social thing has been gazetted. The government always have their own publisher. They have their own publication, like Nigeria has its own publisher. And all these are the things. Like what I'm saying, that is one. Apart from that, individual representatives from the State House of Assembly down to the federal constituency, down to the Senate, individual senators, they are answerable to you. But unfortunately, we seem to be oblivious of that, deliberate oblivious of that, pursuing something else, and that is the problem. But having said that, I believe access to justice covers all this, because apart from access to justice, don't forget that the major partner of access to justice are those civil rights organizations, are those partners, and all of them, they are doing something great. And that is why you see some of us shouting. I know some people will even accuse you that why is only you, like you see Falana, the Falana, senior advocate, saying this and that. That is part of access to justice for people to know. But the question is how many people are listening to him except it affects them? Once it never affects them, they will think that, oh, he's just making noise. But that is the essence. But when access to justice is fully interrogated, you know that all this thing is being taken care of.
Okay.
Nigerians need to know what it is. They need to know their laws. Okay,
good. But Mr. Ajulo, how about, so what would you recommend? Because, Gazette, well, that's Gazette. I don't know how many young people, for instance, who are bound by these laws know the difference between a law that is gazetted and a law that is made public or publicized for them to be aware that these things exist in the first place. So on the one hand is the language of the laws. On the other hand is the fact that the access to the information about these laws is very few and far between. You've laid it at the table of the legislators, the representatives of the people. what would you suggest to be their approach to making these laws that they make known to the people that send them to do the work?
I think we have discussed this. What matters most for your regard and respect for law and for your interest? Let me give you an example. If today a rumor come out that, oh, Bobrisky did this, before you go to the internet, you will find out that more than 1 million people has gone to that site to find out what it is. And the law on tenancy, go on the site to know how many people search on it. You find out that it may be 2 or 3. What matters most, my brother, is the interest. The interest you have there. If somebody should ask of Cubana high priest has been arrested, go to the site. More than 3 million visitors has gone to that site. Then check the law on just firearm. You will find out that maybe 2 or 3 people visited in the last 4 days. All is about interest. We need to have interest, and like that's why I mentioned the interest come with the regards to law. You have to respect the law. You have to do fine regards with the law, and that's what makes it so. Anything else, apart from what this reform is doing, I think is just trying to add more to it. What matters most is the interest, the premium you play in the law of the land. Once that won't happen, then we'll have we'll have this kind of problem. The Gazette is the normal procedure, and how many people are even asking all those questions? People are ready to check the Facebook or to check the Instagram. I hardly see people, only few or 2 lawyers that we see them discussing about law on Facebook or Instagram. But when it comes to how to do, what did they call, they mention some name, how to look beautiful, how to change your body shape, you see women, 500,000 visiting the site at the same time. I think we don't need to deceive ourselves. What matters most is interest. The law is there, and it's the law for everyone to know what the law is saying. But the question is who is paying regards to that?
How to do makeup too. It also trends. I know I'm looking for trouble. Okay, but
you are. What is wrong?
The law protects me.
The law protects you from the women that are about to be observing you.
But if you could tell us, I mean, in terms of the human rights issues, as basic as they are, they're still we're still very far in terms of achieving some basics. What is it that you see in that regard in terms of how we're set up about even basic approach to human rights issues that you like to see change across board anywhere?
Well, let me start with the fact that when it comes to human rights basically is for the people. Like I do tell people, only recently that you see elites in Nigeria talked about human rights. And what about the numbers of the elites in Nigeria? Let's say even they are even less than 1% of the entire population. That means that the 99% are those that you can know is huge. Almost, let's put it at 190 million Nigerians need human rights. And it's very costly. That is one of the problems. And that is why I noticed that in part of the reform, I read somewhere where we talked about human rights funds. There's supposed to be a fund set aside to do all this, because to go to court, I just mentioned it. Just think how many police stations and police house stations we have in Nigeria. And it is expected that at least each of those police stations should have the service of a lawyer. Then just think of the number of lawyers that will be deployed to that, and think of how much that they will need to fund such thing. And that's why the idea of my 273 that people turn upside down comes from that. Each of the police station, each of the prison must have at least one time or the other the full service of a lawyer at all time. And I think let me use this opportunity to thank those who have accepted to be part of that voluntary scheme. It is all about charity. The problem with the human right is so huge. Unfortunately, there are those who it is like the issue of this gender and people with disability. They are quite huge, but the resources to fund it, it's always the problem. Just imagine how much you need for a service of a lawyer, how much a lawyer will ask from you. Yeah. Let's even assume that the lawyer is asking for 150 per case. Then multiply that with the issues, that is good. That how huge. Even, I think I need to say this, most of all those institutions that we have, how are they funding them? You go to National Human Rights Commission, their office today, there will not even no space for car park. You have to trek for almost 1 kilometer to get there. Somebody slapped you. You're already smarting from that slap and feeling furious that I'm going to report them. the procedure to report them is even more than the slap, because if you park your car somewhere, your car will be clamped. You have to pay extra money. You can know, and this is not only even going to police station. Sometimes you go for something else, another one will come. That's why you see some people are even avoiding. They will avoid all those institutions because they know it is not only cumbersome, costly to even ventilate their grievance, their violation, to reverse it. Whereas you are asking for to reverse the violation, whereas in the process another much bigger violation is being meted on you. You can see it is huge. The reformers try as much as possible to address that issue. And if it is fully implemented, I'm very sure it won't be like yesterday. It will be a further step.
All right, Dr. Olukaide Ajulo, OON, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice for Ondo State. Thank you for your time here today.
I'm most grateful.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Business Morning on Sunrise Day, by the way, will be up next. Don't go away.
Welcome to Business Morning on Channels Television, and we do business in just about 30 minutes, starting from the global space. Prices rose in early trade on Friday as players took stock of the United States Treasury Secretary's comment that the country's economy is likely in a stronger position than indicated by the weak first quarter data. And this is coupled with supply concerns as conflict continues in the Middle East. So take a look at the numbers. For this morning, we see that Brent crude gained 34 cents. That's about 0.38%. To settle at $89.35 a barrel. WTI also gained 0.39% at $83.90 a barrel. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen had said that the U.S. economic growth was even stronger than those numbers that were released for first quarter. And also U.S. GDP growth for the first quarter could be revised higher when more data comes out, and inflation will ease to more normal levels after a clutch of peculiar factors held the economy to its weakest slow showing in nearly 2 years. I wonder if this means that interest rate cut will come back or will be revised earlier than June. I wonder. We'll keep our fingers crossed to that. Well, data also showed that economic growth slowed in the first quarter, and prior to Yellen's comment, tremors from acceleration in inflation had weighed on oil prices as investors calculate that the Federal Reserve could not cut interest rate before September. Also, there's personal consumption expenditure data for March set to be released later on today. There's a 2% target of that. Also, supply concerns on geopolitical tensions. We're not done with that. Also, it continues to buoy prices. And Israel stepped up airstrikes on Rafah after saying that it would evacuate civilians from the southern Gazan city and launch an all-out assault despite allies' warnings. Still in the global space, but still in the oil space, but here in Nigeria, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the NNPCL, has said that it has addressed concerns that surround the perceived current scarcity of premium motor spirits, which we call more petrol in some parts of the country. We know we saw long queues resurfacing in some parts of Lagos and some other states. Well, in a statement that was signed by the Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Mr. Olufemi Shonaye, the state oil company explained that the tight supply of the commodity, which is currently being experienced in some areas across the country, is as a result of logistics challenges. I think they call it PPMC platform, through a platform where retailers, NNPC retailers, actually make payments. That has been down for some weeks now, and that has obviously stopped retailers from accessing products. And so if they don't access product, they cannot share, with consumers at the end part of the ladder. Well, the NNPCL spokesperson has reassured Nigerians of ample supply of petroleum products nationwide and asked citizens to refrain from engaging in panic buying. And now we head to the money market. Another depreciation is what we saw at the close of trade yesterday, Thursday. We saw a drop at NAFEM, not looking so good, but not the drop wasn't so much, right? 0.1%. Still, we are still around 1,300, 1,309 naira 88 kobo from 1,308. So we see the movement at just 0.1% drop in the value of naira and NAFEM, but it wasn't so for NAFEX. NAFEX was even much more. So while at the opening of trade yesterday, on Thursday, we saw that it was close to the price, the value at NAFEM. But at the close of trade, we did see on NAFEX there was a huge drop, more than almost 3%. To close at 1,346 naira 35 kobo. But all in all, we see it's not a good picture for the naira. Yesterday, we had a conversation on this, and I guess that told us, the naira is just trying to find its level. So let's not be so perturbed about it, even though that might be difficult. But we're all watching the space. I also do know that yesterday, the CBN intervened and did sell some dollar to the banks. I think between 1,100 and 1,200, about that rate to the banks yesterday. So I guess at the close of trade today, we should see the impact of that. Hopefully we'll see a change in the trend of the naira in the country. Well, still around the CBN now, we see that the CBN has awarded the country's second payment terminal service aggregator, they call it the PTSA license, to the country's premier financial technology company, Unified Payments. According to the CBN, the selection, which was carried out after a rigorous and transparent process, is targeted at enforcing existing requirements that all transactions from point-of-sale channels in the country must go through a licensed PTSA. The financial market regulator says that the move, which aligns with its objectives to fully track all electronic transactions in the country, aims to clamp down on financial crimes and other market misconduct. Unified Payments, which is formerly known as Value Card Nigeria PLC, led the way to introduce POS payments in the country under its card scheme known as Value Card, which is the first payment card to be issued in the country. And now to the almighty issue of electricity supply in the country. It's been a couple of weeks now since we had the tariff hike and then the Band A, Band B, Band C, Band D conversation has started. Let's find out how consumers are faring. And joining us for this conversation is Engineer Demola Agoro. He's the Vice President of Nigeria Society of Engineers. We'll be speaking to him more this morning as a meter asset provider, the Chief Executive Officer of Prodigy Global Services Limited. And he's also a meter asset provider in the country, talking about MAMS. Engineer Agoro, good morning and thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. So it's been a couple of weeks now. First of all, what band do you belong to and how has supply been since the hike of electricity tariff?
Yeah, presently I belong to Band B because the kind of supply I'm receiving in my residential building is not up to 20 hours in a month.
What about your factory? I think factories are supposed to be the major focus for Band A.
Yeah, even my factory presently, because we run most of our activities on renewable, because we have basically the bulk of our activities are run from solar. It's only the injection part of our organization that we are running through the IBDC. But as I speak to you today, we are still struggling to have 20 hours of supply per day. So IBDC has not been able to deliver that.
So from your interaction with your friends and colleagues, especially other maps, you guys are the value chain, has Band A been able to meet up with a supply of at least 20 hours a day?
No, the challenge because of the sanction that has been put in place by the Nigerian Legislative Commission. So most disco are very scared now to move people to Band A because they know quite all right that if they cannot deliver the 20 hours supply, they are going to be sanctioned on it. So it's only areas that the discos can deliver 20 hours and above that have been migrated to band head. So it's quite difficult to say that depending on the location of each of the factory, that will determine whether they are actually having this level of supply.
So as a consumer in band B, about how many hours do you get? And what's your rate? Do you know your rate?
Yeah, the rate is about 60 naira thereabout. But the truth about it is that you cannot verify the numbers of the hours. And that's basically because it is a fluctuating hour. It's not a stable power supply that you can get. Although most discos are struggling and putting their best to be able to increase on the supply. Like you know, this involves, apart from the supply from the generation, there's a lot of investment in the distribution infrastructure, which many discos has to really put their heart together to be able to deliver on that.
So yesterday, the trade union, they brought up the conversation again, not that the conversation had stopped, about, you know, the government shouldn't have hiked the rates, but you are in the value chain and you do know, of course, the difficulty that even the generating companies are facing accessing gas and the price of gas. Would you say, for instance, if factories, companies are able to get at least 20 hours, when you compare that with the price of diesel, you know, to bring up electricity, which one would you say is more economical?
Definitely is more economical to go on the grid. If the government and the generating company can do everything that makes sure that there is power, this power can be delivered to the industry. It will increase our GDP. It will cause the industry, because most of the industry today, they are leaving Nigeria because of power. Power is the bedrock of industrialization. And in many countries, all over the world, people do everything that is possible to make sure that they have enough generating capacity to be delivered to their industry. So when you look at it, is the price as it is being cost repetitive and service repetitive tariff is not over the board if the power can be available to the industry and for industrial use. So it's cheaper to still build on the grid than running generator or running diesel.
Okay, so another thing that the TUC has brought up is, I mean, I think this is just so obvious that everyone should have been metered before we have this hike so that it can be controlled and there can be accountability. Now, you are in MAPS. MAPS has been introduced for how many years now? Would you say that the coverage, metering Nigerians, has improved?
No, Nigeria still have quite a lot of the metering gap. But what people need to understand that when the distribution companies are sold, metering is part of the key areas that the distribution company are expected to have invested in. But because of the dynamics that have changed in terms of the forest and in terms of the issue of the MITO, the distribution company are struggling seriously to be able to meter their customer, because the cost of meter is being determined by the high cost of the forest. So many distribution companies cannot really invest. And, NEC came up with the issue of the map that allow customers to pay for this meter. So, but that distribution company will not pay back after some specific years. Even with that, the meter access provider needs to, because of the fluctuation in the forest, it is obviously changing the cost of meter every time, which is making it difficult for the reach of the customer. If you are talking about, is the meter available? Yes, the meter is available. But the truth is that people cannot, but at what price? The cost of the forest, that is causing the price of meter to be increased, which NEC, in their own wisdom now, they are working on a liberalization or liberalizing the entire value chain of the metering so that people will be able to make this meter available at a very competitive price. And as you are aware, government is running what they call a PMI. There's a presidential metering initiative that the federal government is working on, that they are working on with the local meter manufacturer to be able to deliver enough meter into the over the next 5 years. They are planning to do about 2 million meter every year. I think if this initiative come into place, the issue of the metering, because it's obvious that the distribution company cannot invest in it. That's why the federal government needs to come into it and be able to see how the consumer can be properly metered so that people can pay only for the kind of energy that they are using.
So this unbundling that you talk about, how will it look like? Will it be individuals can now approach maps and get their meters, or how do you see it working?
Now, what I see working is that the federal government, they have set out some fund, according to the Minister of Power, and which is the chairman of that initiative, to be able to meter Nigerians. So it's going to be an initiative from the Ministry of Power and from the presidency to deliver this meter directly to the customer. They are the ones that are going to fund this metering gap, and they will now know how they are going to discuss with the discos and people in the value chain to be able to recover back their funding. But it doesn't have anything to do with, it's going to be delivered to the customer premises through the local meter manufacturers in Nigeria.
Well, I hope that works, because when we see things coming from the federal government to the consumers, a lot of times the value chain is so long, there's a lot of gap that we end up not seeing effective use of that system. So I hope there is a way to actually get through to the consumers, and not that, it will stop somewhere in the middle.
No, because regulator has actually made different opportunities available. As a map now, each consumer can buy their meter under the map scheme directly. Though the price is fixed, and most of the maps are very, because of the cost of bringing in the meter and the forest. Even though we have the meter, but the cost of replacement is high based on the fixed price that is on it at present. So that is why NEC is working on the liberalization of the entirely of the nutrient sector. The discos too have opportunity to do vendor financing. As a manufacturer, if a disco approaches us and any other manufacturer, they are able to provide meter for the disco under a vendor financing arrangement, as long as the process of repayment is agreed between the manufacturer and the disco. But what I want to clear out from people is that, just like any other manufacturing sector, there is availability of meter in Nigeria. You can see that the minister visited some of the manufacturing company in Nigeria recently. You can see that we have the capacity. The problem is not about the capacity. It's about the forest. It's about the paying the right prices. Because if you ask us to deliver a meter based on the forest, the price of dollar, and other associated costs, the current price that is fixed by NEC, it will not be able to pay for those meters. But if there is appropriate pricing and everybody, there is the ability to deliver the metering, to close on the metering gap, I can assure you 100% without any, that we have enough manufacturers within the system in Nigeria that have capacity to be able to meet the entire metering gap of Nigeria as of today.
All right. So a couple of days ago, we did see that the federal government declared that power distribution companies will be unbundled along state lines due to their large sizes. Could you help us understand some of the implications of this? Because, discos were supposed to, I do know that at the beginning of the creation and privatization here of discos, we had learned that, at a point in time, consumers will now be at liberty to be able to choose which disco serves them. But we haven't gotten to that, and now we are breaking down the discos again. Isn't it taking us further away from the plan, the vision at the initial stage?
Well, this is the best thing that can happen to Nigeria at this point in time, and I want to commend the regulator, the minister, for taking that initiative to be able to make that sure that this happens. Because when you look at developed world, people have capacity, you have ability to be able to determine which providers that you want to have. The major challenge we have in Nigeria today is that most of the discos are too big. But when you do it along the straight line, it's so easy for like a state like Ekiti now, they can have their own, what I call a wired service. If within Ekiti, all the distribution network within Ekiti is controlled, is under the Ekiti Regulatory Commission. But what will happen is that even if BDC or any disco want to deliver power, they will deliver power over that wired service. That wired service is available to any generator. And when you are doing it, you don't need to go into the grid, you can do a distributed generation, whether through solar or any other mix, and be able to inject into that wired service in Ekiti, for instance. With that, customers can choose to say, oh, if you have different provider and supplier of energy, all of them are using the same wired service. You don't need to, even if you are changing from one provider to the other, it's about aggregation. So it's not as if you need to change anything from your house. What I'm saying is that if you have 3 or 4 generator of energy under distributed generation in a particular state, all of them will be delivering their power to that wired network within the system. And we have been trying to encourage many of these states to be able to develop what we call a mesh network within their distribution network. Presently, Nigerian network is a radial network that if there's any fault anywhere, the whole system will. But if you have a mesh network, different people can supply network power at different sources, and that would make that network to be very stable. It's a very good thing that the government is doing to break power into state, but it will increase investment. It's one of the good time to live as an electrical engineer. You know, we can see that there's a lot of opportunity in the sector. It has blown up a lot of opportunity that is going to help even in increasing our GDP. People just need to be able to be patient a bit with the government.
So will this now be controlled by the state, or will it be private individuals who would have to register and be regulated by the state? You know, how will that work?
No, what happened is that what we are proposing is that when you have a wire, like if you are living in, let me just for sake of emphasis, because it is just one of the people that are just being given the permission by NEC. In Ekiti State today, if all the distribution network within Ekiti today, what we will suggested is that they will look at the cost of how many investment do we need to build a effective distribution network, to bring private individuals that can invest in that and build that structure. After that structure has been built, you will now invite private individuals that can generate power at the distribution at that level of 33 kV and 11 kV. So we can have up to 4 to 5 private companies that are generating power. The price has been fixed at 220 something. Then that will now bring about competition. If at the end of the day the network is okay, there is generation. The companies that if I have 5 companies generating power, I can tell people within that system, I will sell my own power at 200 naira. I can say I will sell at 220. So you don't need to. So people can have opportunity to change within different local distribution companies in that their state. But as it is now, as long as you are running a radial network that is only one single source of supply, it will be very difficult for people to say, oh, you want to change your supplier. You will be stuck with a particular supplier. That is why this idea about state electricity, state generation is a very good thing. Though we need to just allow it to flow. This is what happened during the time of communication. But Nigerians should just be patient. It's an engine. There's nothing too difficult about this. This is going to work if you all are committed to making it work.
All right, thank you so much for that message of hope and encouragement. So Nigerians should be patient and see this new idea, you know, of having state generation and distribution work. Engineer Ademola Agoro is the Vice President of Nigeria Society of Engineers, is also the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Protege Global Services, one of the meter asset providers in the country. Thank you for your views this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's head to the markets now and see how that's doing. At the close of trade yesterday, we did see a moderate gain at the NGX, a 0.05% increase. But remember that we had dropped up to 98,169 right there. Getting further away from that, and also lost some money from 56 trillion to 55.5. Even though yesterday there was a gain of 27 billion, that hasn't been enough to cover up for the losses we've been recording in the last couple of weeks. So we look at the sectors now. Trust that the most liquid sector would be hugely affected. It hasn't recovered. There's still profit taking on it. More than 1% was dropped yesterday on the index. Consumer was also down, even though it's marginal, 0.05. Industrial goods, first time in a long time, unchanged. Insurance, however, got some attention right there, talking about the penny stocks, and oil and gas has its status, wants to be known as an unchanged sector at this time. So let's talk to, for the market analysis, we'll talk to our guest. Tajuddin Ibrahim is the Director of Research and Strategy with Chapel Hill Denham. Good morning, Mr. Ibrahim. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah, so we look at the market and we see movement, not so good figures for the NGX, but the fixed income looking good, yields going up, and it seems this is going to be the trend for a while.
Well, I think that is one thing that we have to correct there. We have a situation where the stock market is sort of slowing down in terms of the returns on a weekly basis within the past sort of 3 weeks, and at the same time we have a situation where the yields on fixed income instruments are rising. So in finance and economics, what we currently are seeing is a situation where both markets are bearish. Bearish in the sense that the stock market is shedding some points, returning slightly negative numbers within the past sort of 2 weeks, and the fixed income is witnessing broadly higher yields, which also means a bearish sentiment, because when yields rise, bond prices fall. So we have that situation at the moment where both markets are largely speaking bearish. So on a mark-to-market basis, bond investors are also losing money. But when you are looking at new positions being taken by bond investors, then one can talk about such bond investors making money in the future because of the elevated yields we currently have in the market. And I think the broad development is part of market dynamics.
So now that the federal government has hinted that I think by June or so they'll be going to the Eurobond market, what's going to happen to the domestic markets?
So the domestic market will remain there, and because we have a situation where some investors are just going to stick to the domestic market. Let's take a look at the pension fund administrators, for instance, where we have well over 18 trillion naira in assets under management. One would say we will still see a situation where the sector is still exposed to the local market, because there is no significant provision for them to invest in to invest abroad and to also invest in dollar-denominated assets. So they still have to stay with the Naira assets in terms of investment. Also, we have insurance companies, that have liabilities that, they have to match with the corresponding assets. those will also still have to stay with
the domestic. All right.
the local market.
All right, Tajuddin Ibrahim, thank you so much for your views. Director, Research and Strategy, Chapel Hill, Denham, thank you for your views this morning. All right, so it's a good one to know that even when the federal government goes to the Eurobond market, the domestic will still have some attention. But that's all we can take. Back to the Sunrise Daily Studios.
All right, welcome back to Sunrise Daily. So yes, indeed, we're turning attention to Ondo governorship race. Yes, the APC have had their candidates. The PDP also had theirs yesterday, and Mr. Agbolaja emerged winner of that primary. So we're going to go over, crossing over to him now. He joins us virtually to speak about his victory and what lies ahead of him. Mr. Agbolaja is a PDP governorship candidate for Ondo State. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Yeah, congratulations on your emergence. I do know that last time that Mr. Jagade won it, you said, well, you fought a good fight. It was a battle against different forces, but this time you clinched it, and I'm sure yourself and your camp will be very happy to have clinched this. But having clinched this, what is your mindset now about how you've gone ahead and gotten this ticket and what lies ahead of you?
Well, thank you, somebody, and thank you, Nigeria. PDP is one family. PDP is one family, and our mindset is to win election and recite government to better life the people of Ondo State.
But in terms of all of those who might not be feeling, well, they don't know if they should pitch their tent with you, if they should go ahead and support you, trying to make up their minds. How are you planning to pull everybody together in that party to forge one common front?
Well, there was not it wasn't a real contest in that area. We are waiting for the bigger contest. What we did was just internal selection, and somebody must emerge, and all of us were working together. It's not a big deal at all.
So you're already looking ahead of the bigger contest, which is for the governorship election itself.
Oh yeah, that's the contest. That's the real contest between the PDP and APC. And you also know there's going to be a contest between APC and Ondo State people, because they are ready to reject them, and they are waiting for them.
So what gives you that confidence that, yes, you are going to clinch that final nomination? Because, I mean, yes, both of you were deputies to the former governor, late Governor, God bless his soul, but he is incumbent now, and you know what it means going against a sitting governor, at least.
The governor, look at it as well, the current governor, but that does not take away that he is lucky. I get that one. And my name is Agbolaja. From those two people, not the two of us, they know very well, they know our background, they know our capacity, and they're going to decide the best among the two of us. It's going to be very interesting, but I'm sure at the end of the day, I'm going to win the election.
So what edge would you say you have over him?
A lot, my brother. Yes, he's the governor today. We do respect of him. But if you look at our background, I was once I started at a very tender age as a world chairman of the NSDP. I became a secretary of a party at the local government. I became a secretary at the local government. I became a chairman here at the committee at the local government. I became a leader council chairman. I became a member of House of Rep. I was the deputy governor. As a matter of fact, I've acted as a governor before. So if you look at our credentials and this what we must have done in the past, everybody in this state knows that there's a boy called Agbolaja, or called Agbo. So they know us very well.
Mr. Agbola, congratulations again. I mean, it's the journey has just started for you, hasn't it? I mean, you're on your way now to a bigger issue, which is, what I think you alluded to earlier. But I want to talk to you a bit about the Ondo people. You said that it's going to be a battle between the APC and Ondo State, and you said the people of Ondo are ready to reject the All Progressives Congress. But let's talk a bit about what the germane issues are in Ondo State. What are some of the things that you hope to address? Maybe you could make them top 5 things or something, that you hope to address in Ondo State that you think would gain for you the trust of the Ondo people.
Well, thank you, Mr. The first thing every government are eager to do is to protect life and property, which I am going to take seriously. And you will remember that I was also a deputy governor. I was part of the team that established Amateku in the state. Whether you like it or not, Amateku has impacted positively into the coup. But if I'm governor of those states, I'm going to strengthen that institution very well. And to also establish, create a unit that will be in charge of the forest guard, or call them forest guard. And with that one, our farmers can go to farm. They will be secured and without being molested and kidnapped anyhow. You have series of embarrassment. Others are kidnapped. People were kids. If I'm governor of those states, I'm going to support with the cooperation of our traditional rulers and everybody around them. But beside that, again, Ondo State is our state. I was born and brought up in this state. There's a difference between Agbola and any other thing. I was brought up here. I grew up here, and the people know me, and I know them very well. I have a clear vision of how to develop on this state. Maybe you may not know. I'm from the River Rhine, but 2 of us are contestants. The 2 corridors now are from the Rhine area. I know how to develop on this. All what we just need is to link the sea. Our former governor was doing that, but we did not achieve that. Of course, it's going to be a continuous program. Once we link the sea, everybody in Ondo South, by extension on those, they will become carrying forward. You know that there are a lot of people who are living in Ibadan that are to work in Lagos every day. What the Lagos people enjoy is not even 1/4 of what you have in Ondo State. You have the best and the longest coastline, and the first thing is to open that place for business, and a lot of investors will come and we'll get it done. And I've also said it that if I'm governor for city, the first thing is infrastructure. Once I do that, it will create room for investors to come in and drive the state. I said it in one of my interviews that I'm going to link the sea with a coastal, with a red line, to link Itakpe in Ogun State and Kogi State, so that we can also discongest this fatal road with unnecessary trailer here and there. With this, I've said it, if I'm governor of those states, the first 2-3 years could be a bit tight, but after 3 years, I can conveniently tell you that I can run this state without waiting for federal government allocation, and everybody will be busy and get busy for the basis of the state.
The economy in those states, is something that a lot of people are looking at right now because, and you mentioned that you talked about that coastline. But there are other, resources in the state. You have a lot of natural resources, bitumen, coal, and you have all of these things. Are these some of the things that you're going to be harnessing if you do make your way into Government House? And how are you going to do that?
Well, like I said, I've been in government. I'm a very strong person on those things. I'm also a businessman. This bitumen you mentioned, I have a staff plant. I have a consultant firm. Bitumen, I don't want to play into that policy that if I'm governor, I'm going to establish a bitumen refinery. It's a very, very gigantic project that might take time. The investors who are coming to bring in their money, they also want to look at the timeline. How this bitumen is a very viable project, because everybody is bringing in their money into the business. Their permanent aim is to get at least good returns in their business. So bitumen, what we do is to create an enabling environment for investors to come in. And apart from bitumen, we have a lot of projects that's already here on tap. So we are going to open the state for investors first to be secured. There'll be facility for them, there'll be infrastructure for them, and above all, there can be safety guarantee of the investment.
Yeah, I think I got like the last part of it where he talked a bit about security. And I did hear you allude to Amotekun and a lot of the work that has been done so far with that. What are your plans to build on it? Because I know that you're one of the progenitors. You're a big supporter. But
Yes,
how are you going to build on the work that has been done? I remember that security outfit is facing some criticism from some people alleging human rights abuses and methods that are not exactly kosher to a lot of people. Are those things that are of concern to you or not?
well, you know that in every sector, when you establish this, a government policies now, there will be room for improvement. Amateku to me, in the last 2 years, has done very well. So we just need to strengthen it and look at the edits that establish it, and also look at how to make it work for people very well. And I've said it, I'm going to strengthen Amateku very well by creating a unit that will be called the forest guard. This forest guard, their major occupation is to go into the bush, our forest, and safeguard all the farmers. Those who are traveling to the farm to bring their farm product will be safe. Our Tanzanian can travel anywhere, anytime. In those days, I used to live at Abuja and 6, 7, 8 p.m. and I arrive at Akure 2 p.m. Even now with my security convoy, I dare not do it. So I can assure you, if I'm governor of Ondo State, I'm going to strengthen Amateku very well. Yes, there could be abuse, and not only in Amateku, even Nigeria police, military, there could be overzealousness in some of those things, but we will checkmate them, and the system will make it very good if you strengthen it very well.
All right, let's see if Ayo has some questions from you. Our colleague in Lagos probably has a few things that he will need you to answer. Ayo.
Well, thank you, Kayla. Well, again, congratulations to you, Mr. Ajayi. One of the issues that I would like to begin with is political. You are not unaware of the issues that have been raising its head, particularly about your party, the People's Democratic Party, at the national level and in pockets of places here and there. Do you think this has any chance of affecting, maybe I should put it better, how will the issues happening at the national level of the PDP aid or affect positively or negatively your chances in the coming elections in Ondo State?
Well, thank you, Mr. Ayo. Every party is local, and I'm sure you know that. I don't want to be president of Nigeria now. I want to be governor of Ondo State. My politics is Ondo State governor. And what is interested in this game is that PDP are also interested to become the APC candidate. APC candidate are also interested to become PDP candidate. So it's going to be a game and decided by the masses. Everybody are interested. So either the PDP are fighting over there or not. I was rather fighting crisis in PDP and in politics are legitimate weapons that produce results. If we're talking about PDP, it's even better. APC today, they had their permanent election last week. It was everybody were running except to save them. I would thank God there was no stray bullet that affected any of the PDP members. So that's not a problem at all. What is important is who can do this job, who has the confidence of the people, who has the character, who has the capacity. And I think everybody knows that Agbola is there to deliver in this state.
I guess the polls will tell us that one, but there is a few more questions to ask you only after this break we need to take now. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Well, Mr. Ajayi, one of the issues you responded to when my colleague asked you a question the other time about resources in the state, is, of course, mineral resources. Of course, we all know that the federal government has quite a say in that. And it raises the question that I've asked quite a few times, and that is the collaboration between federal and state governments. For you, how do you see that collaboration as it currently stands? What are the gaps that need to be filled? And what would you do different in terms of collaborating with the federal government to maximize opportunities for your people and your state, should you find yourself in government office?
Well, thank you. We thank God that the president of Nigeria today is from Southwest. Not just from Southwest, fully most of his life in Lagos, and so he also understands the connectivity between Ondo and Lagos State, vis-a-vis the entire world. So it's going to be an easy thing. As a matter of fact, right now, the federal government has commenced the construction of the railway and the coastal road from Lagos to Calabar. So they are not taking of the thing that the road must pass through heavy. It has to pass through Ondo. You don't know Ogun, Ondo, Edo, Delta. And the connectivity is there, but the political way and the connection, the contact, I can assure you, we'll do it together. As the president of Nigeria, I'm going to tell you those states. You know that if on those states somewhere governed, Lagos is a big threat. Not just Lagos, every part of the country is a big threat. Remember, a few years ago, when some children were kidnapped in Lagos, we have to rescue them in those states, coastal land. So it's going to be something that we can achieve together, but I can confidently tell you that the political will be there and we'll work it together.
Now, how about the issue of collaboration with young people? Having conversations with them, communicating with them. It generally would seem like the young people are disconnected from the realities, or the politics, governance is disconnected from them in terms of communication. What will you do differently in that regard?
It's a very sad thing. And not just the young people, Nigerians are preparing to lose confidence in the system. But I can assure you, Agbola is in mind of the young people. You can guess my age. I'm sure you're older than me, so I belong to that category, and I'm going to lay an example that you will be president for other younger people to follow. So we are working together.
And when that time comes, when you get out there, there's going to be different dynamics. Who knows what happens with money politics in terms of the assurances that people will have. And then one of the other concerns that people have is when the chips are down, the way people vote, usually there are surprises. So what is your plan to ensure that persons who ordinarily should vote for you, or who you expect to vote for you, don't get financially induced to vote for your opponents? Do you have that in mind at all?
For example, the game is totally changed now. It's not about money again. Nigerians are tired. Nigerians are eager to control. In those states in particular, we cannot wait to have a PDP government in place. So the money will not even play a battle in this election. People are already determined. You need to come to those states and move along the street of the line. Along the street, and hear the comment and listen to what people are saying. So I can assure you, money will not do anything. Let me tell you that at the moment now, the Cuban governor is in charge of the state treasury. But doesn't even have any effect at all in their last primary election here. Come around and see what is happening. So not talk of PDP that has gained the confidence of the people in the state. So I can assure you, the use of money it's not going to play a major role, but people want to know, can this person deliver? Are we safe with this person? Do we have access to him? Is he part of us? As I'm here, my brother, I can mention every politician in every local government, not only in PDP, both in PDP, in APC, and all the political parties in the state, because I've lived with them, I'm part of them, and we've been together. I've invested, I have a lot of friends in the state. So, use of money, they would think twice. I remember, let me quickly remind you, that was involved in the impeachment saga 2 years ago. I'm sure you followed that trend very well. I know you still remember that. It's very fresh in your memory. Use of money does not play any major role. Inducement came and people rejected that. No, we can't remove this guy. We trust him, we trusted him, it's our man, and let him be. So use of money, I can tell you, will not play any role at all in this coming election.
Okay, well, at least one place that money does play a role is with the IGR. I was listening to the former Commissioner of Finance. He was saying that the former governor did raise the IGR from 500 million monthly to about 3 billion monthly, and then 36 billion annually. So for you, do you have a target how you intend to improve the economy of the state?
Yes, I've said it. If I'm governor by the grace of God. Yes, let me first comment the improvement in the IGR in the state. I was part of that team. Yes, now we need to raise the bar to maybe 3 billion, including pay, not just the money that collected, but including all the dollars from the politicians, from the civil servants. That's what we put together to that 3.something billion naira. You understand? But what I said that if I'm governor from those states, the first thing I would do is to first of all improve the infrastructure. I've said it in the first 1 or 2 years can be difficult, but in my third year in office, I can conveniently tell you that I will be able to run the state without federal government allocation, and that tells you that the money I will be expecting would be more than maybe 10 billion naira in a month. Can you compare what Lagos is taking? They might not even actually annex all the IGR as a now, because of Ogun State. So the IGR will be strengthened.
So you'll get 10 billion naira in a month in the state if you were governor.
We can do more than that. If you have infrastructure in place, we can actually do more than that. As a matter of fact, we can discongest Lagos and do better than what Lagos is doing today. But we need the infrastructure in place, which should be my priority first if I'm in office as the governor of this state.
All right. So I'm sure the people are listening to you. So and there'll be more opportunities to expatiate at least on some of your plans and projects as the days draw closer. But again, congratulations and thank you for being on the program today.
Thank you, Tabale. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
All right. That's Mr. Agbolaja, the PDP governorship candidate for Ondo State. So we'll be looking forward to that time and see what happens. Yes, I know just before we go here today, we did ask all of you to talk to us about some of the images we did show you. I know we already had quite a number of people send us messages as to where the place was. We saw some people got it right, but we saw some other people didn't get it right. So we're looking to see how to send that to you now, but let's see. Do we have it all set up? Okay, so this was the initial place that we asked you to guess where this place was, and let's show the bigger picture in terms of where the place is, having shown you this one.
So this is the big reveal.
Yes, congratulations to those of you who got it. So
someone said it was in Jos. I'm looking at
Jos. Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, Kofo said it was there. Savannah said it's Olumorok. That's the time that he sent it. Yeah.
Savannah's. Regina.
Mm-hmm.
I think that rock is Olumorok in Abeokuta State. Okay.
You think?
Have you made up your mind? Adeleke Emmanuel, Olumorok, Abeokuta, 905. A lot of people did this at 905 in Ogun State. Balkis Ahmed.
911. Ouch. That's the
Balkis.
Fast enough.
Balkis said it's in Osun State too.
Osun State?
Balkis.
Okay. Nice try, Balkis. Nice try.
Let's see, Babatunde. Olagoke.
957.
Olumorok, 957. Correct, but late. Daniel Ugbe, Olumoroks in Abeokuta, Ogun State, Nigeria. This one 1001. Olumorok, Abeokuta.
1001.
Ayodele Babalola, thank you.
Nice tourist site. So quite a number did get it right. Both Twitter, X, then the emails. And so for those who got it right, okay, well, at the time, But what we'll do is, those of you who got it right on those platforms, so the first few people who got it right on X, on Instagram, via the email, you know, it depends on your pace now. Quite a number of people got it right. Number did get it right, but your timing was a little later than some others. So for those who did, we will get across to you,
Yes.
and you will get your prize. So thank you all. We'll see you Monday morning. Guess what will come to you with at that time? You never know.
I do have to say that we need to make this a little bit more difficult. Ayo, too many people got it right.
He wants many people to win, Ayo.
You have that much money.
From the goodness of his heart.
Come on, guys.
He's going to pay them a lot of money.
Aren't things hard enough for people? Come on.
we need to make this. I think we'll have a good one next week. I've initiated a good one.
Okay. Just pay them, but don't spray them.
Don't spray, please.
Okay. So that's been the show.
Okay, guys. That's the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
And I'm Kayla Magua. Have a wonderful weekend.
And I'm Makinde. Do have a beautiful one.